All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dungeon Learner's Guide. We are going to try something a little bit different today. I figured that I've had quite a few requests, I guess, to kind of see how I do our deck building process. So I wanted to take a little bit of time, and I figured it would be easier to do this in a little bit of a live stream rather than having to worry about responding to people and kind of trying to explain it over like a chat system or through text. I figured we could just kind of go through, build a deck. If you are currently in chat and you are interested in providing any feedback or any suggestions for the deck as we are building it, I would love any suggestions. If you're watching it later, so it's not live, unfortunately, obviously, I'm not going to be able to take into account any suggestions during the deck building process, but I will do my best to look into it in the future as well, because the deck is not fully finalized until we actually get to the video that is put up of it. So, the first thing that I would typically do in building our decks is pick out a card that we've got to build around. So I use Scryfall. I mean, obviously, if you're doing this yourself, you can do anything else. But Scryfall is nice because it has this fancy little random card option. And so usually you just click that one, you get your random card. And then once you've got your card and we can figure out what we're going to be building around, then obviously we can start looking at the actual deck itself. So, looks like our card that we're going to be focusing on today is going to be Diminisher Witch, which is 2 and a blue. It's got Bargain. It's a 3/2 human warlock. When it enters the battlefield, if it was bargained, make a cursed roll token attached to target creature and opponent controls. So, a lot of times when I'm looking at the random card that I'm going to be building around, there's a couple of like key things that I tend to focus in on. The main ones being any abilities it has. So bargain is important to note. The attaching a cursed roll token to an opponent's creature is important to note. And then the creature type is also another one. So it's a human warlock. We know that we're going to be in blue. We are not quite sure what exactly we're going to do. And so typically, once we get to this point, it's just looking up information about the card, trying to figure out if there's any cards that exist that fit in the same general area of the card. So I'm going to open up another tab here. We're going to keep the Diminisher Witch up, but we're going to open up another Scryfall tab. And we're just going to see, let's focus in on, I guess we'll start with Bargain. See how many things have Bargain. So you can just go up into text, type in Bargain. We know that it's in blue, but I'm not going to limit the color searches. Could be Toxrill for Doodle's suggestion. That makes sense. Yeah, because you're going to put a thing onto an opponent's card. Polymorph theme, Enchantress, have an Eldrazi, now you get a Citizen. Yeah, could do that as well. So trying to figure out what we're going to do is always the tricky part. But yeah, so we'll start with the bargain, and then we'll take a look at what Toxrill can do. We'll take a look at maybe some polymorph stuff. But there are 21 cards with bargain, so that would give us a way to sacrifice artifacts, enchantments, or tokens. So if we are putting stuff onto our opponent's things, obviously we'd be sacrificing it. Let's see. If it was bargained, you make a cursed roll token. Okay. So I think there are some creatures that care about enchanting your opponent's things. In fact, I think let's see. This is where I start to already kind of go off the rails because I'm going to open up a bunch of tabs as we're building this. But I think I'm going to open up EDH Rec, and I want to take a look at colors of commanders. So I don't typically use EDH Rec for like looking up specific cards, but I do like to use this as a way to just sort commanders. So for example, I don't know if she's on the website yet. Yeah, so I know there's a new Ariette, and I don't remember what she does. So once again, another tab, because by the time this stream is done, there's going to be so many tabs open. I'm going to apologize in advance. Oh my goodness, why is it being so slow? Well, we'll get there. but yeah, so there's no era yet, but we need something with blue in it. So let's take a look at Esper, because I feel like a Zur deck makes sense. I feel like Esper is going to give us some stuff, right? Because white is going to give us some Enchantress effects. Blue is going to be relevant for, obviously, the card that we got. And then, so I'm thinking probably either Esper or Bant off the top of my head. I think Esper gives us more of a chance to focus on the sacrifice abilities of the bargain. And then I think the Bant option with green would give us more options for the Enchantress effects, right? So something like Zur, like Doodle mentioned, aristocratic enchantments. So whenever Zur attacks, we can search for an enchantment less than 3. I think there's another Zur, isn't there? I don't know where Zur would be at on here. There it is. Enchantment creatures. That one's less good. That one cares specifically about auras. I'm sorry, not auras, non-auras. Yeah, nothing jumping out for Esper commanders. And again, for anyone watching, if you find something or see something, curse tokens are enchantments, so Constellation, yeah, could do. Let's see. So if we go back and we, instead of searching for bargain, let's search up Constellation. Yes, the curse tokens themselves can be bargained. So we can actually put a token onto something and then sacrifice it. And I know I'm moving a little bit faster than the chat is, so I do apologize. I tried to slow down the lag a little bit, but it like messed up all of the streaming. So I know if you type something, it might take me a second to get to it. So I do apologize for that. But looks like there's 34 cards with Constellation. Most of them look like they're in the Bant colors. Looks like there's a couple of black ones. One red one, even. Let's see. Okay. So the other thing that we have to consider too when we're building this deck is because I'm building on this $100 budget, things like, for example, Calyx here is going to be, he's $12.29. So that is going to already start kind of pushing the budget, which also makes building things a little bit tricky. But if we are doing some, whatever it is, whether it's the bargain or the Enchantress style effects, we've got, what is it, Eutropia here. Whenever an enchantment enters, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, and then it gains flying. So we could do like what's it called? Like a Voltron style strategy, maybe. I think I'd love to use Nylea's Colossus, but I'm pretty sure it's a $10 card, which is less than ideal. Constellocrats, Aristol. I don't know how to pronounce that, Doodle. I trust your judgment, though. Yeah, we could do like an aristocrat style constellation thing where we want to sacrifice some of our enchantments. There's also a way, I'm sure there's plenty of cards, I think particularly in white, that can reanimate enchantments. So we might be able to sacrifice a bunch of enchantments and then like mass reanimate, which could be kind of cool. I'm going to take a look at Diminisher Witch again for a second. So she's a 3/2 warlock. So she only makes the cursed roll if it's bargained. And we could use the bargain as a way to use the sacrificing. Yeah, Diminisher Witch is the chosen card. Voltron works with the polymorph effect. Yeah, we could ground any flyers. We can also use, oh my goodness, what's it called? There's the 6 mana enchantment creature that gives all our stuff flying and takes it away from our opponents. So, all right, so here's what I'm going to do then. We're going to open up yet again another tab. And I'm going to go into my decks. And you can see all this nonsense. There's a sneak peek at some future Commanders Guild decks if you're fast enough to see them. But we're going to create a new commander deck. And we know for a fact that Diminisher Witch is our random card. And so I'm going to Diminisher Witch. So I'm just going to put all this information in because this is just how I kind of keep track of what I'm doing. And then we'll come up with a name for it later. We'll figure out what exactly is going to go in. So let's see, green black lets you run Farika as a lieutenant since she's one of the few sources of enchantment tokens. Well, that's good. I like that. Because does she specifically care? It could be tokens. We could go with the token enchantment theme. I don't think there's plenty of ways to do that. I know, oh my goodness, what is it? Nico. Nico does enchantments, right? Yeah, so you create shard tokens with Nico, and they're specifically enchantments, which could be very good here as well. So if we're doing, what would that be? That'd be 4 colors at that point. If we're doing green, black, white, blue. I don't even know what 4 color commanders there are in those colors. So let's see. So 4 color, that was everything but red. Oh, that gives us the Atraxa colors, doesn't it? Yeah. Let's see. If we're doing Atraxa colors. See, this is again where the actual building of the deck starts to kind of become a bit of a hindrance because we're looking at original Atraxa's $15, new Atraxa's $30. We probably have to wind up using some partners just for budget purposes, unless, you know, we get to the end of the deck building process and we're at like $60, we can throw in one of the Atraxas. But I think we just kind of, for now, assume we can be at least 4 colors. I mean, worst case scenario, we just add a 5th color. What's the Bant Enchantress commander? I think there's actually a couple. Merfolk, yeah, that's Tuvasa. So let's see. So if we're assuming these, let's put a couple of these cards in. So we've had suggestions for, oops, where's it at? There it is. We had Farika. I have to know the whole thing. I don't know Farika's full title. I've built a deck with her and I don't know it. Farika. God of Affliction. Okay, so Farika, God of Affliction. Oh, man. I am just flipping between tabs, so I apologize. So Farika, God of Affliction. We could do Nico Eris. Presumably we would want the Constellation and the Artifact sacrificing. Isn't there a new... Oh, what the heck? There's a new Abzan Enchantress commander that also cares about the graveyard, right? I don't remember her name either. So this is again where I'm gonna... I know she's a legendary Abzan creature, but I don't know her name. Anakhthea. Whenever she attacks, exile a non-aura enchantment from your graveyard. Make a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 3/3 zombie. I don't know if that would be any good here. I think it's going to depend on the other enchantments we include. But let's see. So for the... Okay. For everyone in the chat, I'm going to just kind of type the cards that you're suggesting into the deck. And then we can kind of sort things out from there. So we had Tuvasa the Sunlit, I believe. I run that in one of my own personal Enchantress decks. The Bant Fish Detective that makes a clue on upkeep. I have no... Is that a legendary creature or is that... Let's see. See if we can find a Bant Merfolk. Alright. Bant. Investigate Merfolk. That card does not exist. Maybe it's not investigate. Maybe they just used clue. No. do not know what card you're talking about, Doodle. Alright, I'm going to put Anethea in. If we choose to cut her, we choose to cut her. But let's see. I'm pretty sure also, in terms of budget, isn't Tuvasa... Oh, she's not that bad. $5? That's not terrible. So let's take a look back at the constellation spells. So there's 34 of those. If we're using everything but red, that means we get everything but Forge-born Oreads, which that's fine. I don't really care about losing that one. Oh, we can use Underworld coins. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Oh, he's actually just a fish. I'm sorry. I was looking at Merfolk. He's just a fish. Oh. Vidalcan Fish Detect. Yeah, why is that not a Merfolk? You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put 2+1/+1 counters on it. I mean, it doesn't deal with enchantments, but it does make a clue, which I believe... I'm going to look at Diminisher Witch again. Yeah, it still counts for bargain. You can sack an artifact, enchantment, or token. What if instead of Enchantress tokens, we focus on, like, the junk tokens? Right? So that would be, like, the clues, treasure, blood, like, all of those... What's everyone's thoughts on that? And I know I'm asking this well in advance from when people hear it, but could be fun. All right. So anyway, I'll go back to the constellation while waiting for the thing to catch up. Asinine Antics has to go in. I have no idea what Asinine Antics is. Let's find out. We'll put Morska in for now. Morska Undersea Sleuth. It's Asinine Antics. Oh, yeah. No, 100% this goes in, right? 4 mana, give everything a cursed roll. 6 mana, do it at instant speed. Yep, I'm sold. I'm in. For sure. I think there's also, because these are specifically tokens too, I know there is like the thing, is it Junkwinder? Is that the card? Yeah, this one. Affinity for tokens, and whenever a token enters under your control, you tap something and it doesn't untap. I feel like that's also kind of a slam dunk in this deck, if we're trying to make just a bunch of enchantment tokens, or maybe artifact tokens too. So let's see. So Junkwinder. What else makes cursed rolls? Maybe we should look at that. I keep coming back to the constellations though. Let me figure out the cursed rolls first. So let's see. So cursed rolls, cursed roll. Oh, there's not that many. There's only, what is that, 6 cards that do cursed rolls? That's not right, is it? Weird. Tap target creature, create a cursed roll token attached to it. Oh, it's a sorcery though? Boy, cursed roll stuff is pretty bad, isn't it? And somehow we spun into one of only 6 cards that care about cursed rolls. That's kind of cool, though. Create a cursed roll token attached up to 1 target creature. Scry 2. When you cast your next instant or sorcery with mana value 3 or less, copy it. Boy, cursed rolls do not have a ton of support. It's just a 1 mana 3/2 that comes in with a cursed roll. I mean, that gives us something to immediately sacrifice, I guess. Same thing with the courtier, cursed courtier. Oh, that's good, Ezra. Yeah, Doomwake Giant with cursed roll. Oh, that's solid because it gives -1, right? As soon as it comes in. That's good. I like that. Okay. Okay. And since the other issue that we're going to run into here is that with Cursed Roll, we're really not casting a ton of them. Um, and yeah, the Cursed Rolls is just one of many, but I know that. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I know that with the Cursed Rolls, you can put them on your opponent's stuff because you want to put them on your opponent's stuff, right? But I think that the issue we're going to run into with the other rolls is that they don't usually go on your opponent's stuff. Like a lot of them specify that they have to go on your things, right? I guess here, hang on. Let's rewind. Let's just search up rolls. Do we want to do red? Turn to frog goes in. A witch casting a spell. I like it. I like it. Turn to frog. We also have like Frogify too, right? Anything that would turn an opponent's creature into a 1/1, and then we can run. Oh, what is it? There's Karavek, right? I'm gonna Karavek. Karavek. Yeah, other creatures get -1/-1. So we just like put a blanket anthem down and just turn all of our cursed rolls and stuff into board wipes. Maybe. That feels kind of mean, but I do like turn to frog. I'm gonna check this real quick. So let's see. So turn to frog. I'm pretty sure there's enchantments that do this too, right? Is it Frogify? Is that the one? Oops. Frogify. Yeah, same thing, right? Becomes a 1/1. So let's see. So Frogify. I think there's other ones too, but I don't know what their names are off the top of my head. If anybody else knows, let me know. Let's see. Okay, so going back into rolls, we'll cut out red. Because I assume at this point we're probably set on not using red. We could go back and change that. But yeah, so most of the other rolls like Besotted Knight, Royal Roll attached to a creature you control, attached to another creature you control. Yeah, most of the issues that we have with the other roll tokens is that they have to go on our stuff, which I suppose is not the worst thing in the world. Like, we can still just pump up our own creatures, I suppose. And it still gives us something that we can sacrifice. What is this one? Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, make a virtuous roll. And then whenever an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think Gilwain too. We just automatically attach things to our creatures. We have Lord Skitter's Blessing. Look up enchanted creature becomes. Or enchanted creature loses all abilities. Yeah, we can do that. Are there any more legends in? Oh, Spellbook Vendor's pretty solid, right? At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can pay 1 when you do make a sorcerer roll attached to a creature you control. Because then, even if we attach it to the same one, then it automatically like sacrifices the original one, right? Is there anything that benefits us from sacrificing enchantments, or when enchantments go to the graveyard? All right, I'm gonna throw a couple of these in here that I feel like could be good. Like, this one's pretty solid, right? Royal treatment, target creature gets hexproof, make a royal roll, so we just protect a creature. All right, so let's see. So Spellbook Vendor, royal treatment. What else we got? Whoops, that's the wrong thing. Protective Parents, Return Triumphant. Do we want Gilwain or Lord Skitter's Blessing? What's Lord Skitter's? Create a wicked roll at the beginning of your draw step. If you control an enchanted creature, lose a life and draw an additional card. So do we want to put ourselves in on putting enchantments on everything, or do we want to focus on putting it on our opponent's stuff? Martyr's Boon. Hateful Eidolon. Hateful Eidolon's great here, yeah. Nurgle's Rot. Sure. Oh my god. Martyr's Boon. Nurgle's Rot. I'm trusting y'all. I'm just kind of throwing stuff in. Whenever the enchanted creature dies, return it to its hand. Martyr's Bond. Whenever it or another non-land permanent you control is put in. Okay, so our opponents are just never allowed to have enchantments with Martyr's Bond. I gotcha. Okay, focusing on opponents sounds good to me. So if we're focusing on opponents and we're specifically trying to enchant our opponent's things, Ashiok's Reaper. Alright, so Ashiok's Reaper. And then we want to focus on what was it? Enchanted creature becomes or enchanted creature loses all abilities, right? So we want to look at like Frogify effects as some of our primary forms of removal. So let's see. So it's an enchantment. Oops, that's not where I want to type enchantment. Enchantment. Morbid Opportunist. So I'll put Morbid Opportunist in just a second. Morbid Opportunist. Okay, and then if we're looking at enchantments and we want things that are... Actually, we should probably type auras, right? Auras. We want to put in things that... Enchanted creature loses all abilities. Enchanted creature loses. Let's just do loses. Okay. So we have Claim of Erebos. Oh, Darksteel Mutation for sure, right? Darksteel Mutation. Deep Freeze. Oh, they do lose all of their... Being a 0/4 is better than a 1/1, but at the same time, it's at least, like, no longer has its abilities. Grave Betrayal is a win con. That is accurate. Grave Betrayal is a heck of a win con. Sure, why not? Grave Betrayal. I'm going to put Deep Freeze in for now. Deep Freeze... Foul Play, sure. I'm just kind of throwing things in. Oh wait, I can't use Foul Play, hang on. I just immediately trusted Spencer and I was like, oh yeah, this will be fine. Can't put that in, although that would be absolutely hysterical. Why is that an unset card? We could print that today. That's fine. Eaten by Piranhas. Becomes a 1/1. Oh, it's got Flash too? Well, that's a good one. Sure, Eaten by Piranhas. Piranhas. Uh-oh. I think I might have messed up the stream. Okay, there we go. I think I fixed it. We got probably not Heliod's Punishment. We got Frogify, Ichthyomorphosis for sure, right? Gotta be some Ichthyo. I'm gonna butcher trying to type it in. Ichthyomorphosis. We did it. Success. Imprisoned in the Moon, probably not what we want. Although maybe. What's everyone's thoughts on like imprisoned in the moon and in too deep? Because it doesn't keep them as creatures, but it does get them off the battlefield technically, turning them into like a land or a clue. Thoughts on those? We'll do Casmina's transmutation. Lignify. Maybe Kenrith's transformation. It still draws a card. Can hit lands. That's true. It does hit lands. Sure. So let's. I think we're going to be overloaded on in the moon. I think we're going to be overloaded on removal, but that's something we can remedy later on. In too deep. Kenrith's transformation. And then Lignify. Mammoth. What is Mammoth Harness? 4 mana. Target creature loses flying. If any creature is assigned to block the creature, Mammoth Harness enchants or has the creature. It gains first strike. I don't think we want that. I think that's actually not where we want to be. One with the stars turns it into an enchantment, but it keeps its abilities. I don't know how good one with the stars is going to be. Reprobation. Turn into a coward. No such thing as too much removal. That is probably accurate. But we got to have room for like win conditions too. I'm really just looking for stuff that turns things into like 1/1s or there we go. Defender, Stasis Field. Stasis Field. So do we, even though we're not casting all of our tokens and things, we probably still want to include the constellation and draw effects, I would assume. Right? So that would be, oh, what the heck is it called? Because I think some of the enchantresses, like Sithis, she cares about it casting, but I know there's some like Eidolon of Blossoms, right, that only care about when it enters. I think that's about. Oh no, witness protection. We gotta have a good witness protection. Area Part 2 Electric Blue Glue. That's technically accurate. Witness protection. Except I think the difference is that Ariat wants to buff the opponent's creatures. I think we're trying to steer clear of buffing them. We want to try to make them small. Alright, so we're doing alright. So we got 11 creatures so far. We got 1 walker, 16 enchantments, 2 instants, 1 sorcery. We're doing okay. So let's see. So 2 green that draw 1 ETB. So Eidolon of Blossoms, right? And then I know there's another one. It's a 3 mana green spell. It's a human. I just don't know the name of it. Yeah, the one that gets +1/+1 counters. What the heck is it called? Setessan Champion. Setessan Champion. So I'm pretty sure those are ETB, not cast. Let's see. Where are they at? Yeah, Setessan Champion, whenever an enchantment enters under your control. So here's a rules question for people who may know. If we are putting a wicked roll on something, or I'm sorry, not a wicked, a cursed roll on something, does the opponent control it? I don't think so. Yeah, if you control another roll on it. So we control the roll, which means we still draw from Eidolon when we put a cursed roll on something, which is sweet. That is exactly what we want, right? But so now we've got all this removal to like take out the actual creatures. I think Doomwake Giant's right now the only way to kill those creatures. Do we also want to put a little bit of clue synergies in here? Because like Morska's good with clues. Um, but being able to have a little bit of a draw engine with clues that also creates the tokens. And we also get the opportunity of bargaining, right? Even though there's not that much bargain. Is that. We started looking at that and then stopped earlier. I'm going to take a look back at bargain real quick. Let's see. Bargain. So there's 18 cards that bargain. I imagine we can play most of them, but I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't think we can play Beseech the Mirror. Yeah, that is out of our budget range. $17. Clues are weak when you have enchantresses. That's fair. That's fair. Are any of the bargain spells even good? 5 mana 4/4 that fights something. 1 mana instant bargain gives +2/+2 flying lifelink. Put 2 creature cards. A lot of the bargain spells are pretty bad. Because like we can ice out, which is literally just counterspell if we bargain. Here's a rare. What is this thing? 4 mana instant bargain. Look at the top 4 of your library. If it's bargain, look at the top 8. Put 2 into your hand and the rest on the bottom. That seems decent. Right? Just like even 4 mana dig 4 is not terrible. Death Reap Ritual? What is Death Reap Ritual? Oh, come on. Death Reap Ritual. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you may draw a card. Yeah? That's another card draw effect, right? It's focusing on killing our opponent's stuff. And then I think with the way our deck is set up right now, we probably just lean into our creatures kind of generically to try to win. Don't think bargain's worth it. Oh, Massacre Worm? God, Spencer, you are making this work, my dude. Alright, so yeah. So Massacre Worm for sure. Massacre Worm. I do like Death Reap Ritual. I think there's also... Is it Culling Ritual? Is that the card? Culling Ritual? Yeah, what are our thoughts on Culling Ritual? It would destroy all of our stuff, but it's like a massive ramp spell, right? Because it would destroy all of our tokens, but we get to add a red or a green or a black for it. Each thing destroyed. I don't know if that's worth it or not. I don't know. So looking at the other win cons too, if we're in these colors, it might be worth using Ishai and Rayhan as the partner pairs, right? So let me go back to EDH Rec. If we're doing 4-color, if we do Ishai and Rayhan, or I guess Ishai and Ikra is another one. I don't know if we necessarily want Ikra or Rayhan, but mainly Ishai, right? The idea with Ishai is that's our win condition. Yeah, I don't know what we would do with the mana for Culling Ritual. And then we can put its counters on other things with Rayhan as just like, this is finality. This is a way to end the game once all of our opponent's stuff can't fly, can't block, is a 1/1. That might be where we go for the commander. Because I think, yeah, Thrasios is out of our budget. Pretty sure Tymna's out of our budget. Kaidel's, I think, in what we're trying to do. Ravos is another way of just, like, permanently getting things back. And I don't think Sidar... Well, let's see. Creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block. Well, what do we think about Sidar? It's got flanking, right? Whenever a creature without flanking blocks this creature, it just gets -1/-1, so like they can't block Sidar without their creatures dying. And then creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures power 2 or less. Well, I guess that wouldn't help us then, right? Because they can't block it. Never mind. I don't think Sidar's good here. And then we would need Silas, and Silas does nothing for us. Yeah, I'm leaning Ishai and Rayhan. I don't know what everyone else is thinking. Have we done an Ishai Rayhan deck before? I don't think so. I think we've done Ishai Rograk. There are some +1/+1 counter synergies with enchantments. Yeah, we can also lean into that as a way to try to guarantee a victory, right? So let's see. So Ishai, do I have to type the whole thing? No. Sweet. So we'll put Ishai and Rayhan in there for now, and we'll kind of sort that out. Let's see. I want to go back to that Farsight ritual. I'm stuck on this Farsight ritual. I want to put that in. I love cards that seem probably pretty bad, but are at least entertaining. And then there was another rare. What is this one? Thunderous Debut. Yeah, Hardened Scales. Look at the top 20 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards from among them. If the spell was bargained, put the revealed cards onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put them into your hand and then shuffle. What do we think about Thunderous Debut here? I feel like 8 mana is a lot, especially at sorcery speed, but like we are in green, right? We can ramp. We haven't included any ramp in this deck yet. This is removal. Troublemaker Oof. ETB, Bargain, Exile, and Artifact or Enchantment. There was a Wet Jund Energy with Chrome and Rayhan. Yeah, so we've used Rayhan and we've used Ishai on the channel before, but we haven't used them together, which actually works out. One of my personal decks is an Ishai Rayhan +1/+1 counter deck. It's a monstrosity of a deck. Okay. So we're not using Culling Ritual. Let's see, what was the other suggestion? Hardened Scales? How expensive is Hardened Scales? Oh, Fallout dropped it to 80 cents? I'm sold. I'm in. Let's do it. I think... What else would we do with 8 mana slot? Yeah, that's fair. Oh, we haven't added Sanctum Weaver. Sanctum Weaver is a bomb here. Yeah. Thunderous Debut, Sanctum Weaver. There's some of our ramp right there. Hang on, let's take a look. So at this point too, we have 18 enchantments that we can cast. So I feel like it might be worth it. Well, and that's just 18 of those. Hang on. Havel Eidolon, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we currently have like 24 enchantments that we can cast. So it might be worth putting in some of the cast enchantresses as well. So let's see. What was the other one? Branching Evolution. Holy crap, look how cheap that is. Didn't this card used to be like 20 bucks? And now it's 3? So down for Branching Evolution. See, Spencer's on the right track. I 100% agree with all of those suggestions. Triumphant Reckoning. Brilliant Restoration. And Eerie Ultimatum. For sure. They're very expensive, but I feel like those just act as win conditions, right? Okay, so that's got us at 45 cards at the moment. I do think we probably put in some of the other card draw effects, maybe. Let's see, what's our budget at right now? 59. Oh, we are so in the clear. Oh, it's using the $9 Branching Evolution, so we can even make this cheaper too. Eerie Ultimatum's $5. Yeah, we are in the clear on budget. Let's see, what other Enchantress effects do we have? late game will definitely have the mana for all of that. Let's see. Draw a card, enchantment. Does that work? Yeah. Or Gothian Enchantress? That's probably too much, isn't it? Oh god. It's $37. Oh. We have Ashiok's Reaper already. Aura Blast? Nah. Oh, we could do Braids. What about Braids? Because then we just sacrifice the auras and like the curse rolls, and then all of a sudden there's nothing our opponents can do. Maybe they won't have enchantments, and if they do, they can sack the enchantments. Slap in all the enchantress effects, then the rest mana ramp. You're probably not wrong. I do like Braids though. Hang on. I am an absolute sucker for Braids. I try to jam her into every deck I can, and it never works out. But you know what? I'm going to keep trying. Alright, so let's see. So we have Elvish Archivist. Whenever one or more enchantments ETB draw... Oh, that one works. Elvish Archivist. Elvish Archivist. What was the other one that was on that page? Whoops. Enchantress's Presence. Enchantress's Presence. That's fair. We can cut Braids if we need to. I figure we'll just kind of go through everything. Ephemerif. Whenever an enchantment is put into a graveyard from play, draw a card. That's good, right? Is that one of the expensive ones? Yes. Yes, it is. $16. What is... Oh, that's an Acorn card. I'm not even going to read it, because we can't play it. First Strike, Death Touch. Probably not Glissa. What does Heliod do on the back? Cast spells as though they had flash. Spells you... meh. Kami. If you control an artifact, no. Enchanted creature, no. You may draw 2 cards. Exile target creature or enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, make a token. No. Lauren is good, but I think Lauren's also pretty expensive here. Malevolent Witchkite. ETB, sack any number of artifacts, enchantments, and or tokens, then draw that many cards. Thoughts on Witchkite? I'm going to put in Mesa Enchantress, but... Mesa Enchantress. Maybe Witchkite. Oops, that is the wrong page again. Narcy. Whenever you sack an enchantment, draw a card. Hey, look at that. There's an actual thing. Leyline of Anticipation. Yeah. Narcy. Whenever the final chapter of a saga you control. See, that's meh, but like the second enchantment thing's not terrible. Instant speed, you got a frog. Sure, we'll put it in a leyline. Leyline of Anticipation. Satyr Enchanter. Satyr Enchanter. Scroll Shift. Sithis. Sithis Harvest's Hand. Okay, we're getting there. We got a deck, right? We're getting there. Whenever an enchantment ETBs, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Meh. Verduran Enchantress. Is that another expensive one or no? $1.75, cheap enough. Verduran Enchantress. Okay. So we have a bunch of card draw at this point. We have a bunch of removal because that's the enchantment effects. I think what we probably want now is the ramp. I think Spencer's right on that front. So we probably focus on maybe more enchantment ramp, because I know there's some, right? It's like the auras. So let's see, type enchantment. So I know that, oops, not red. I know that there's the ones that are like enchant your lands, they tap for extra mana, but then there's also a couple of enchantments, like I think Omen of the Hunt. that searches out basics. Is that the right one? Let's find out. Where the heck is Omen? I can't read. There it is. Yeah, search for a basic. It's only one basic though. But it triggers all our card draw effects, right? So like, do we think that 3 mana search out a basic with flash is good enough, considering it'll trigger all of the enchantress effects? Maybe. Get frogged, nerd. Okay. So enchantment, and then we need aura, and then enchant land. So not abundant growth. We want the stuff that like lets us tap for multiple manas, not just. What about, well, Blighted Burgeoning is 3 mana though, but it makes us an incubate token. I don't know. Maybe that's like if we need it. Where are Dawn's Reflection? It's an extra 2. That's something, right? It doesn't help us if it's at 4 though, because we really want to probably ramp into our commander and then start doing things. Okay, so I'll put it in for now because I don't know how many there are, but Dawn's Reflection, and then we'll come back, and if we need to cut it, we can cut it. Fertile Ground. Okay. Oops. Find the Path. It's ETB Venture and tap green. See, I think a lot of these are. Yeah, we got Fertile Ground. A lot of these are like specifically going to add green, which I think is going to be a bit of a struggle. I don't know. I guess we do have a lot of green, don't we? Well, I don't know about that one. Maybe. There's at least a dozen. Gift Paradise. See, I don't like the 3 mana ones. I'm not going to lie to you. The 3 mana ones drive me crazy because they're like, at that point, you're pushing from 3 to 5, which is meh. Yeah, exactly. We don't want to do too many because we don't want all of our stuff to get blown up. Oh, how about this one though? New Horizons, because it puts counters on stuff, and we're trying to lean a little bit into counters. Probably don't want Nylea's presence on thin ice. We're not playing Snowlands, so I don't think that's any good. Song of the Dryads. Song of the Dryads could work. Maybe. I know there's others, right? There's at least like one more. I'm not going crazy. Weirding Wood investigates. Wild Growth is a 1 mana one. Wasn't it like there's definitely a 1 mana one that we're missing. I must have missed it somewhere, but I don't know what it was. Alright, so Wild Growth. And then I think we probably do we think that's enough ramp? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of ramp. Do we think 6 is enough? We do have a pretty low curve. Song of the Dryad, yeah. Song of the Dryad. So how are we doing? 27 enchantments, 21 creatures, 3 instants, 5 sorceries. Do we want Utopia Sprawl? Oh, because it has to enchant a forest. That's the one I'm missing. Yeah, yeah. I think Utopia Sprawl is like stupid expensive though, isn't it? Oh no, it came down. It's 30 cents. Yeah, sure. We'll do Utopia Sprawl. Okay. Utopia Sprawl. Yeah, 10 to 12 ramp I think is good. Because this puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it just 7? Um. Yes. Yeah, I think it's just 7. Um. So we probably want ways to protect the win conditions too. So right now, are there any cards we think that we should cut from the deck before we start adding anything else in? Oh yeah, we'll have a bunch of forests. I'm not worried about that. I think green is going to be our main source of color because it's going to allow us to get other things. But yeah, so any suggestions for what we should cut? Because right now, I think the like I know was it Spencer not a big fan of the braids, so we could cut out braids. Um, Spellbook vendor probably because I put that in when we were still debating on enchanting our own things. Yeah, yeah. I knew what you were gonna say there, Spencer. I got you. Um, do we want Morska? Like at the beginning of our upkeep, investigate. I don't. I don't know about Morska. Yeah, Morska's kind of an eh. Farika's decent, I think. Maybe. I don't know about Farika either. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, so we'll cut Morska. We can cut braids. So Morska. We can cut braids. What was the other one I said? The spellbook vendor. I don't think spellbook vendor's that great. Okay, so that leaves us 28 enchantments, 18 creatures, 1 walker, 3 instants, 5 sorceries. What's Anecthea doing for us? That is a great question. Where is Anecthea? Let's see. Other enchantment creatures have Menace. We have a couple. ETB, exile a non-aura from our graveyard. Make a token that's a copy of it. How many non-auras do we even run? 1. It's not looking good, team. 2. 3. 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 non-enchantment auras. Well, I guess not counting the creatures. Yeah, I don't think Anecthea is great here. Okay, so no Anecthea. No Anecthea. Do we want to keep Farika? Farika's another one that I am unsure of. She's technically Graveyard Hate, which I do think we should run. Because Graveyard Hate is very relevant. Where'd she go? There she is. But 2 mana to only exile a creature feels less than ideal. And it gives the tokens to our opponents if we exile their stuff, which also doesn't seem great. And if she's exiling our own stuff, then it weakens our mass reanimations. So I'm iffy on Farika, but I will defer to the chat. Keeper for Graveyard Hate. Well, if we specifically want Graveyard Hate, though, we can use... Is it Timerat? Yeah, Timerat. Pay 2, exile 2 cards from graveyards. So it would be pretty much the same as Farika, but it's 2 mana exile 2 of anything rather than 2 mana exile 1 thing, right? He is double black though. That's the main concern is him being double black. But his activation is 1 and a black, whereas Farika's is a green and a black. Overwhelming Splendor. What is Overwhelming Splendor? Is that the curse? Oh, that's hysterical? Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to put in timer at, and I'm going to cut timer at something or other. Was it chosen from death? Yeah, no, chosen from death. The one curse that gives creatures -1/-1. So let's cut off Rika. I don't know what curse that. I'm closing EDH. We already have our commanders. We're good. Curse. Oh, wait, that's like an actual thing, right? Curse. Yeah. Does it give all creatures -1? Creatures enchanted player controls get -1/-1. Is there one that gives it to everybody? I don't see one. Yeah, there's not one that gives it to everybody. It would only give it to the one player. But like that's fine. I still think then we probably, if we're gonna put in the curse, we probably just put in Karavek instead. Oh, wait, isn't there just an enchantment that does that? I think there's an enchantment that does it for everything. Is it Bad Moon? I think it's Bad Moon. -1/-1 enchantment. But I don't know how expensive they are is the problem. This is gonna give me too many. Oh Jesus! I'm not looking through 2,500 cards. Creatures get Arden. It is Bad Moon. Bad Moon's the one I was thinking of. Bad Moon's $150. Could I'm sorry. That's black creatures get +1/+1. Never mind. I am a scrub. Haunted One, Inner Demons. It's a bunch of stuff that's like +1. Why did I Oracle -1? Oh, I see. It's okay. Hang on. Because yeah. Let's try that again. So we have Doomwake. See, Dread of Night does it for white creatures. All creatures of the chosen type. Creatures you control. Oh, here we go. All creatures get -1/-1. Knight of Souls Betrayal. 33 cents. It does hit our stuff too, but I feel like that's fine. We just have to very specifically cast it after we've cast Ishai and put counters on it. Otherwise, we just can't win the game. Okay, so what was it called? It was Knight of Souls Betrayal. We'll put that in and then we'll see. So Knight of Souls Betrayal. Okay, so that gives us 58 cards. My hope would be to put in about 4 more and then include the rest for lands. Yeah, it does hit our stuff. Curse of Death's Hold seems better. Yeah, alright. Curse of Death's Hold. I will accept that substitute. What about Arden? Arden could be decent. Sorry, I missed that earlier, Doodle. Arden. Because that lets us move things, right? You may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or players. So we can just like shift them around. Ooh, excuse me. I got the hiccups. Yeah, Arden's not terrible. Because then if a new threat comes down, we can just like shift it over. I like that. Sure. Arden, Intrepid, oh my god, I can't spell. That's not it. Ah. Alright, we got it. We're good. We did it. Huzzah. Okay, so let's see. So what are we missing, right? We're missing... We kind of have board wipes for creatures. We have plenty of ways to get around creatures. I don't think we're stressed for that. Do we want any of the other ley lines in the deck? Because there's the white one that gives hexproof to us. I don't think that's relevant. And then I think the black ley line shuts off a lot of our death synergies, so we probably don't want that either. Right? Void. Yeah, if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard, exile it. So that would shut off some of our death triggers, so I don't think we want that one. Throw in get ++ for each enchantment you control. Oh, that's so good. Same with Codsworth. Does Codsworth do the same thing? Commanders you control have Ward 2. That's all. I'm already in on that one. Attach target aura equipment you control to target creature you control. It's you control, though. I'm less in on Codsworth. I do like the ward, but I don't think that's worth it here. But yeah, some of the +1/+1 for creatures or for enchantments, right? So that would be like all that glitters. Sage's Reverie. Right? Sage's Reverie here because it's going to draw so many cards, right? And then also pump something. Yeah, you draw a card for each aura you control attached to a creature. So that just like refills our hand. Okay, so those are win conditions. Do we want... So after putting all this together, though, do we want to keep Hardened Scales in the deck? Because right now it works with both of our commanders, which is solid. It can work with the Elvish Archivist, but we really don't have artifacts. We actually have no artifacts. There's one that gives +2/+2 for each enchantment. An Aura Dork. Oh, yeah. I know the one you're talking about. It's like Mask of something, right? Oh, I am getting a phone call. Please go away. Thank you. Spam. Mask. Oh, there's going to be someone. Ancestral Mask. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. Yes. Ancestral Mask. So, what's that put us to? That puts us to 62. So that is typically where I kind of cap my decks. I try to have 38 lands. I think this deck could go lower on lands. I don't think we should go that much lower, but I wouldn't be sad to go to 37, maybe 36. Just because there's so much card draw. Throw in a Soul Ring for sure. I don't think this deck needs a Soul Ring. I feel like we kind of get away with not needing it. Like, I understand, I recognize that it is a busted card and should go in every commander deck, but I don't know, man. Sometimes Soul Ring is just not fun. What? So, an Aura Dork. What is... Oh, isn't there... Yeah, Doodle's right about the Aura Dork. Oh, what the heck is it called? I know there's SRAM. SRAM does it, right? Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle, draw a card. But there's another one too. Ancestral Mask, Soul Ring, call it a day. We have Ancestral Mask. We put in Ancestral Mask. What is the other one? It's a core, isn't it? It's like when you cast an aura, you draw a card, but then it gets like +2/+2 for each aura attached to it. Oh, what the heck is it called? Oh, there's a green one from Eldraine too? Oh my goodness. Alright, we're just gonna type in aura. I'm gonna get so many results for this. This is one of the dumbest searches I've done. Oh, that's not that bad. 160, I can go through that. A satyr. What? I don't know what card you're talking about, Doodle. I'm not gonna lie to you. Other creatures you control that are enchanted by auras? Nah, we don't want to enchant our own stuff. Aura Thief. Just snatch them. Benevolent Blessing is solid, right? That's protection. Bronzehide, Bruna. Bruna's not terrible. Ooh, Danitha? Once during each of your turns, you may cast an aura or equipment from your graveyard. That's decent. That's alright. Oh, see, here's the new Ariette, too. Whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a non-land permanent, mana value less than or equal to the aura's mana value, gain control of it. I don't think that's what we want if we're turning things into 1/1s. Still. Cool card, though. Galea can cast auras from the top of the library. God, there's so many good cards for this deck, man. This is one of those cards that is very difficult to build around because there's just so many good cards that could go into this deck. Yeah, protecting our things, right? Yeah, Clever Concealment, Heroic Intervention. We do need protection. I would very much agree with that. Core Spirit Dancer. That's the one I was talking about. +2/+2 for each aura attached to it. Whenever you cast an aura, you may draw a card. Knick-Knack Oof. Reveal any number of auras. Mana value X or less. Sterling Grove is cheap. Is it? Sterling Grove doesn't protect our stuff, though, right? Sterling Grove protects our enchantments. But yeah, we can do Sterling Grove. Let's see. Sterling Grove. How cheap is it? Oh yeah, 268. That ain't bad. Other enchantments you control have Shroud. And then we can use it to tutor. Yeah. So let's see. So Sterling Grove. We mentioned Heroic Intervention and Clever Concealment. I think those are out of our budget range. Heroic Intervention is $10. Clever Concealment is 12. Yeah, I think those are both out of our range. Tangle Span Lookout. I don't know if I've ever heard of that card in my life. Whenever an aura ETBs, draw a card. What the heck? Legit don't think that I knew this card existed. Cool. I do like the core though. If we're gonna go with one of the auras ETBing, I think the core Spirit Dancer is probably better. Just because it's 2 mana less, or I'm sorry, it's 1 mana less, and it also gets buffed. Well, but I guess it only buffs itself, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Heliod's Intervention, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that a couple of times, Spencer. I do think you're right. Because that's a mass removal spell, right? Yeah, destroy X artifacts and or enchantments. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's an all-star in the Gilwain deck. I believe that. Okay. So we've kind of hit the point where if we stuck with what we'd have, we would have 36 lands, which is low. Satyr words better for our curses. Oh, because it's ETB, not cast. Oh, you're right. All right, so we do need to trim. Yeah, no. You're right. I didn't think about it that way. You are very correct. So if this is the game plan, though, like I said, we do got to trim some cards. So we got to figure out at least one, maybe two cards to cut, and then we got to throw in lands. So let's see. Why is Overwhelming Splendor $8? Because it's a mythic. Yeah. Take out turn to frog. Oh, because it's an instant. Big brain. And it's only until the end of turn. Yeah. I'm good with that cut. The card that started it all. Okay. Do we think 36 lands is enough? Because if we count up all the ramp, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we only have 7 ramp spells. We think Nico too. Nico just makes a ton of enchantment tokens, though. That's kind of why I put them in there in the first place. We could take Nico out. So up to one target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Whenever that creature deals damage, return it to its owner's hand. Make a shard. 2 damage to target tapped creature for each card you've drawn this turn. Do we think Nico making shards is worth it? Or do we think that having the tokens come in is kind of meh? Yeah, I need more ramp. Shoot for 10 to 12. I would agree. Just trying to figure out what we want to cut. Oof. I'm also looking at possibly cutting the hardened scales. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I don't think we have a ton that really benefits from it. Like I said, it benefits our commanders, but that's really about it, right? Tuvasa? No, she only gets +1/+1. She doesn't even get counters. Works with bargain. We didn't go that route. You are correct. My thinking was just oh, we have 5 enchantments enter the battlefield. We draw 5 cards with Constellation, right? Sorry, looking real nice. All right, Spencer, you win. We'll put in Sol Ring. We'll take out Nico. We'll put in Sol Ring. Keep scales, cut branching. Because what's the difference here in branching? Where's branching? If one or more +1/+1 counters will be put on a creature twice that many. Yeah, because we really didn't do that much, right? Could cut both. Pemin's Aura is a way to go infinite with Sanctum Weaver. That's true. That is true. How much is Pemin's Aura, though? It's not that bad. The issue is, though, do we want to put in one card that goes infinite with another one card in a deck that has a single tutor? Like, I know we have a lot of card draw, but is that worth including as a way to just, like, end the game? Maybe. Let's cut out, yeah, I think we cut out Branching Evolution, unfortunately, because I do really want to play Branching Evolution, but I don't think this is the deck for it. Where is Branching Evolution? There it is. And I'm taking out Hardened Scales. I just don't think that the counters is worth it when it's really only affecting our commanders. So we put in Soul Ring. How much ramp does that put us at? 8, I think. Because I usually try to shoot for like roughly like 48 like mana sources, right? So if we have 38 lands plus 8 ramp, that's 45. So we would need a couple more pieces of ramp. Heliod's Intervention is $3. What the heck, man? It's a good card. Okay, so I think we're kind of at the point where we are like finalizing our list, at least currently. I wouldn't be opposed to throwing in a couple more ramp spells. Do we want to just go with like the traditional land ramp? Like cultivates and things like that, or do we want to try to find more enchantment based ramp? Ramp and Growth, Thought Vessel, Farseek. Yeah, 2 CMC or less. Yeah, I like that plan. I also really like the idea of putting in Thought Vessel in particular, because I do think we're going to draw quite a few cards. Having at least one source of no max hand size is pretty good. And then, yeah, Rampant Growth, Farseek. I think Rampant Growth is going to be better than Farseek, I think, because I don't expect we'll play a ton of, like, actual typed dual lands. That would put us at 36. No max CMC. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hand size, I got you. Yeah, no max hand size seems pretty good. Because there's another no max hand size ramp at 3, I think. But I think that's actually pretty expensive, isn't it? Sigil of the Empty Throne is a win con. I think Sigil... Doodle, you keep suggesting cards when we're trying to cut things down. Whenever you cast an enchantment, make an angel. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I don't know if that's necessarily what we want to be doing, though, is it? Maybe. Thoughts on Retether? Yeah, Decanter of Endless Water is the one I was thinking. Decanter of Endless Water. But I think it's like expensive. Oh, it's not that expensive. 31 cents. No max hand size, taps for a mana of any color. It's decent. Do we think having 2 is good? Put in the Pegasus. Oh, the Pegasus is good too. God, there's so many good cards, team. Oh, yeah, the Pegasus. I don't remember the name of it, but yes, that one is really good. Constellation. The Archon. Archon of Sun's Grace. You make a 2/2 and it gives them all lifelink. Don't need Retether. That's fair. I just like Retether. Oh, what about this thing? What about the Composer of Spring? 2 mana enchantment, or 2 mana constellation. Whenever an enchantment ETBs, you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 6 or more enchantments, you can put a creature or land in. Because that's ramp. I mean, and presumably we'd be drawing enough cards that we could, in theory, always have lands in hand, right? It's $4.76 though. It's expensive. Boon of Spirit Realms. What's Boon of Spirit Realm? Yeah, creatures get +1/+1 for each blessing counter on it. So we can just kind of like smack our opponents. Solid. Agent of Erebos is another graveyard hate. Agent of Erebos might actually replace Timoret. Composer isn't great. You think so? I've never played it, but it feels good. There's a lot of really good Constellation cards. In theory, you can have lands, but if you don't, it's useless. Yeah. That's why I usually run 38 lands. I like the... What do we think about switching out Timoret for Agent of Erebos? I feel like that's better, right? In our graveyard hate slot. Because then we just like get rid of their whole graveyard instead of just 1 or 2 at a time. It is 4 mana instead of 2, though. Boon works well with Antics. Oh, jeez, yeah. Boon is terrifying with Antics. It's $1. Could squeeze that. Oh my god, there's so many good cards that I want to put in the deck. We can do one more. Yeah. Yeah, screw it. The Enchantment Satyr is better. We have the Enchantment Satyr. We do have that. Tangle Span, look out, we got him. All right. Let's put in the Boon. I like the Boon. It's 5 mana though. But like I feel like that gets out of hand really quick. Yeah, that's fine. Boon of the Spirit. Oh god. Spirit Realm. All right. So let's see. 33 enchantments, 19 creatures, 2 commanders, 2 artifacts, 3 instants, and 5 sorceries. But assuming one of the enchantments is Leyline, I think our actual sorcery count or instant count is irrelevant. All right, so I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna start putting. Not that Satyr. Another Satyr. Oh, I think is it. Where's he at? This one, the Enchanter. I don't know. But I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna start putting in the lands. Oh, that Satyr. Yeah. That Satyr is good. I'm gonna start putting in lands, and then we can kind of decide if we want to make any last minute cuts. So we're gonna obviously have Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, considering we are 4 colors. Path of Ancestry is a 5-color land. What else could we do? I mean, part of me wants Heliod's Hall, but I don't know if it's worth having a colorless land in a 4-color deck. So these ones for sure. We can do some dual lands. I think part of the issue that we're going to run into here. See, this is where I use EDH Rec. Lands are not my specialty. So we're just going to find 4+ color. We're going to do Witchmaw. We're going to look at mana staples, and we're going to look and see what's in here. A bunch of shocks, bunch of fetches. Can't use those. Isn't there a... There's these. The Tri-lands. I'm not a big fan of the Tri-lands, but I feel like for budget 4 color, that's probably solid. So we just can't use any of the red ones, and there should be, what, 5 red ones? Is that how math works? So we can use all the others. So Sandstep, Seaside, Sandstep, Citadel, Seaside, Citadel, Opulent Palace, Arcane Sanctum. Opulent Palace, Arcane Sanctum. Is that it? 1 or 2 colorless lands max. Yeah, I really don't want to put in a ton of colorless lands. I feel like I'm missing one of the tri-lands, but I could not for the life of me tell you which one it is. I don't know any of the tri-lands off the top of my head. Alright, let's see. So land, going in a 4-color deck. Not that one. Not red. I just want to find, like, what are they called? Cycles, right? I don't think the pain lands are worth it. No. The ones in standard right now are super expensive for no reason. So I don't think the pain lands are going to be budget for us, unfortunately. We already have Arcane Sanctum. We could put in the Snow Duels, but I'm still not a big fan of the Snow Duels. We could throw in some bounce lands, but if we're running the Aura ramp, I think bounce lands actually hurt us more than they help us in this case. Some cycling lands. We could throw in Bajuka Bog as another graveyard hate, even though it's only a single color. I'll put in Bajuka Bog for now, sure. Bajuka Bog. And then, let's see. Maybe the fast lands. I don't know if they got cheaper with the reprint. Not cheap enough. Not $4. Boy. Yeah, I don't think we can run. We don't want the storage lands. We could do the snarl lands. These are like 12 cents. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basics, and we probably would have hexproof or indestructible lands. Yeah. The issue is with the hexproof and indestructible lands, they're just so expensive, right? Because even like Cascading Cataracts is like $240. And like Darksteel. Let's see, where's Darksteel? I think Darksteel's like $1 or $2, isn't it? There it is, Darksteel. 71 cents. It's colorless, though, is the problem. This is, like, a sneak peek into the Commander's Guild life of struggling with basic lands and struggling with lands. There's a reason why, if you look at most of my decks, they tend to be a lot of basic lands, because that's usually where I can cut a little bit. We could, like, worst case scenario, could always go for like a gate mana base and play the gates that are like, oh, when gates come into play they're untapped and all that. But without all 5 colors, I don't think that's actually a viable mana base, because we'd be missing just enough to make it kind of clunky. So Field of Ruin. Could do the cycling lands. I don't know how much the cycling dual lands are. They're pretty cheap. We could do the cycling dual lands. And then if we flood out, we've got them. Plus they have the land types. I don't think we have anything that cares about land types. Maybe. We'll put in Fetid Pools. I don't know, man. you get to see my my weakness is very much in the lands. I struggle a lot trying to put together a mana base for a lot of decks. You may reveal. Wait, I didn't put that other one in, did I? No, I didn't. What the heck was it called? Can you clarify what Commander's Guild deck means? You said it in Discord and I'm not familiar. The Commander's Guild deck is just the ones that we put up on the channel every Friday. So the decks that go up on every Friday are like the Commanders Guild series is just the title of the series. So it doesn't mean anything in particular. It's just like the $100 or less built around a random card is essentially what I typically mean. Yeah, Utopia Sprawl cares about forests. You are correct. So we need. I looked at a card earlier. I'm not crazy, right? There was one that I was like, oh, we should put this in, and then I just didn't put it in because it had the basic land types. Canopy Vista. Oh, Canopy Vista. Canopy Vista. Yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh no. Go back. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so Utopia Sprawl cares about having forests. So yeah, so having forests would be decent there. I don't think Fortified Village is worth it. Because at that point, it's most of the time just going to be a gate, I think. I don't think Gingerbread Cabin's worth it. Glacial Fortress is probably not worth it. No, not at a buck, unfortunately. Yeah, I really like Hall of Heliod's Generosity, but I don't. I don't like it that much. I don't like it for $7. Never mind. Oh boy. The Surveil lands would be good, but those are definitely out of our budget range. Yeah, see, this is where most of the deck kind of. Oh, there we go. Irrigated farmland. This is where most of the deck starts to struggle. Did that work? Yes. Because if we're talking about good budget mana base, it's going to be a lot of tap lands. It's going to be a lot of basic lands. And if we're looking at a 4-color deck, that starts to get very tricky, especially when we have such intense mana requirements with things like Eerie Ultimatum. Having to spend a decent chunk of the budget on non-lands makes this actual building process complicated. But I'm not seeing anything that's like necessary for us to have. So unfortunately, we're probably just going to wind up with a lot of random nonsense. Because we could do the Snarls, but I don't trust them to ever come into play untapped. We have Opulent Palace. Yeah, even the slow lands I think are pretty expensive, aren't they? Yeah, they're like $4. Pretty much all of the dual lands that are in standard right now are just stupid expensive. Prairie Stream. Prairie Stream is good. Let's do Prairie Stream. Prairie Stream. Yeah, I think. Oh, what about the? Yeah. That's true. The fixing problem. So we mentioned the indestructible lands earlier. The artifact lands I completely forgot about. Right, but like Razortide Bridge would be pretty good. It's indestructible. We can put our auras on it. And I don't think they're expensive, so those are definitely things we can put on. Chromatic Lantern fixes the fixing problem. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. I think those are both pretty expensive, though. That also means that we'd have to find some stuff to cut for them, and I don't know how much that's worth it. All right, so I'm just going to kind of finish looking through these. I know this is a lot. People are just like sitting here watching us scroll through cards. Scattered Groves. Scattered Groves is good. So I apologize for that. Usually I'm pretty good at looking at mana bases when it's like 3 or less colors. When we hit 4 is where I really struggle. We have the Seaside Citadel already. Yeah, I think we're kind of gets got by Farewell. It does get got by Farewell. But I feel like if someone farewells this deck, I think we die either way. But like, because if we're not putting something into our deck because it gets got by Farewell, then we're just playing all lands and maybe a couple planeswalkers. So if we get got by Farewell, then we get got, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, there's the new desert lands. I don't know how good those are going to be. They're also technically not out yet. We'll do Sunken Hollow. Sunken Hollow is good. It's got the... Sure. Sunken Hollow. I know there's definitely gotta be... What about the Tainted Lands? As long as we have one swamp, they're just true dual lands, right? Is that worth it? How many lands do we have? Screw it. Tainted Isle. Tainted Field, Tainted Wood. Tanglepool Bridge. There's another Tanglepool Bridge. Another of the artifact lands that's indestructible. I definitely missed some somewhere. Or do we want the temples? I don't think we want the temples in this deck. Because, like, they're good, but that gives us... What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands? And that puts us at like 89, and we're running very few basics at that point. Plus, I still kind of want to get the artifact lands. And there's definitely something I'm missing here. Thornglint Bridge, good enough. Thornglint Bridge. Painlands. Painlands are good. The issue is that they're all more expensive than you would think. Even the least expensive Painlands are all like $1. So they really start to add up, unfortunately. Also, I have no idea how entertaining this stream actually is, considering y'all are just looking at me scrolling through Scryfall. So, if there's anything I can do to make it more entertaining, let me know. Just kind of vibing at this point. I definitely missed a bunch of the artifact lands, didn't I? And I don't want to have to go back through and try to find them. But I think once we've got those, we're probably just done. Yeah, I definitely missed some artifact lands. Because we only have 3. And there's definitely more than 3. Okay, so I'm going to look up the artifact lands, and then we're probably just going to throw in basics for the rest of it. Artifact, land, everything but red. Dark Moss, okay. Dark Moss Bridge. Goldmire. Mist Vault. I think that's probably it. Yeah, Razortide, Tanglepool, Thornglint. Okay, yeah. So that's all of them. It's been fun helping with the deck. I appreciate that. I love having the help because there's definitely a lot of cards that I would not have thought of going through this process. All right, so if that's all of the non-basics, that would put us at 13 basics. So let's see. So that'd be roughly 3 of each. 3 plains, 3 mountains, 3 island. Except we have to cut 2, so we trim 2 of the colors. Oh wait, we don't do mountains. What am I talking about? We're only a 4 color deck. So 1 color gets an extra land. Probably green, right? Considering green's going to be our main source of ramp, we need to make sure that we have early green sources. Yeah, I got there. I appreciate it. Um, so probably 4 forests. Um, that also runs us into the problem of if we only have the 4 forests and we hit like the ramp spell that needs it. What is it called? Utopia Sprawl. Then all of a sudden we're kind of out of luck. But the deck is like a 2. You're not wrong. I don't know how well this deck is going to function in practice. But in theory, this should be the final list, at least for now. Definitely still subject to change. There's a good chance that the Discord changes it a bit. And we'll kind of keep tweaking until the actual like production of the video, once we like record everything. The last part of the actual deck building process that I go through, though, that I don't necessarily need to make everyone sit through, is going through and like specifying the printing for all the cards. The issue that we're going to run into here with Ishai and Rayhan is that it doesn't show foil prices, annoyingly. So we just kind of have to like pick one and hope it's the cheapest. It's probably that one. But typically going through, and I literally do this for every card for every deck that I build, because I am determined to get the lowest price possible. But I literally go through every single one and just click on whatever the lowest price is, so I can guarantee that we have the actual lowest price for each card to try to trim down a lot of prices, right? So for example here, like Junkwinder 10 compared to 18, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're cutting out like 8 cents per card, it really starts to add up throughout the course of the actual deck. And one of the best ways that you can actually cut some of the price, particularly in like monocolor or like 2-color decks, is in the lands. Because for some reason, if you just put together a deck on Scryfall, it automatically uses like 10-cent lands, which, you know, it's still pretty cheap. But if we come scrolling through here, we can see like 6 cents for some of them, 8 cents, 5 cents. You can usually find basic lands that are like 4 to 5 cents. And if we have 3 islands at 4 cents, we're only running about 12 cents worth of islands versus the 30 cents that it would do if it automatically came in. So in like this deck, it's not that big of a deal. But for monocolor, going down like 6 cents per basic land is usually pretty solid. Oops. Oh God. Clicked on the $1.42 planes. We don't want planes that are $1.42. I want the 4-cent ones. Thank you. We forgot Aether Eyes. Yeah. Doodle. I want Aether Eyes. I just, as bad as it is, I don't even know if this is the right deck for Aether Eyes, right? Because all the things that we want to include are going to be like the 1-cent cards, or the 1-cent cards. My brain's on the budget of this. All of our opponent's creatures are going to be like the 1 power creatures. Oh, look at that. 3 cents. Boom. So if they're all 1 power, we don't really care too much about aetherizing them. It's just kind of gonna not do much. But I do love me an Aetherize. Like, if we want to cut a card for Aetherize, I will not complain about cutting out a card for Aetherize. So all I'm saying is we do what we got to do. Because, like, Aetherize, Aether Spouts, Settle the Wreckage, I would put all those into every deck I could, if I could. Every deck I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, so I'm just going to go through this list and do all this. I can do this off screen if we want. If you guys want me to do it now so we have like a final budget for the deck, that's also fine. It's the principle of it. I understand. But we definitely know for a fact right now the deck is under $8. Um, $8? That's not the number. $80. So the deck is like under our budget limit. There's really no reason for me to be doing this, but it's just kind of a force of habit at this point. It's the principle of the matter. That's fair. So I'm gonna get the final price of the deck, and then if we find something else that we're like, oh, this fits, this goes in, we can kind of tweak it as we go. Like maybe we throw an Aetherize in there. Who's to say? But if we're putting an Aetherize in, we gotta cut something, and I'm not cutting a land. I'm not going to 35. That is far too few lands. That feels more Englishy. That's accurate. Oh my goodness. See, this is the downside to multicolor decks, is usually going through what card is this? What is so expensive? Is this it's Machuca Bog, yeah. Having to go through like all of the dual lands with this is just incredibly time consuming. And in a monocolor deck or like a two color deck, when I'm playing 25 to 30 basic lands, it's so much more efficient, so quick, because you can just click on the basics and you're done. But going through all of the non-basics is quite the ordeal. I don't know how much of this people are paying attention to at this point, because I'm just clicking on numbers, but I'm not super intense on getting like I have to scroll through all of them to find the lowest one. It's usually just kind of finding something that's like relatively low up close to the top, especially for things like Command Tower, where there's just an absurd amount of printings. Like I could scroll through this whole thing and pick out the one that's like 2 cents cheaper than all the others, but it doesn't really affect it that much. So just knowing like, oh, there's a 14, that's good enough, right? It's better than the 27 or whatever the heck it was. So I know that there are websites, like Moxfield specifically does this, that they will do this for you. So I could just like transfer it into Moxfield and do it that way. But again, I'm just kind of, I don't want to say lazy, because I feel like this is the opposite of lazy. This is going too far above and beyond. But yeah, so this is for everyone. Oh my goodness, that was a 40-cent Morbid Opportunist. Holy cow. You want your Morbid Opportunists, man. Pick them up now. Apparently the Fallout ones are super cheap. But yeah, this is basically the extent of what it takes to build a Commander's Guild deck. So all the decks that I build on the channel, this is kind of the process that I go through. Typically having the chat provide suggestions would come through the form of the Discord, having to like post a list that I come up with, or be like, hey everybody, what's the idea for this card? Which is fun, but it was also kind of nice to just be around. And I don't know why it did that. I've got my phone up on the stream and it just like clicked on a different video for some reason. That was weird. Trying to make sure I'm not messing up the stream, and all of a sudden I'm accidentally watching a different video. But yeah, so I appreciate everybody who hung around for the actual stream. If you're catching this in the future and you have suggestions for cards that you think fit the deck that we didn't add, or if you have an argument for why we should take a card out of the deck, please do let me know. You can still like comment them on the live and I'll still be able to see them. You can send me a message on all of the different social media accounts. Like I said, it's gonna be quite a while until this deck shows up, but eventually this deck will show up on the channel. I figure obviously if we built it, then we should play it and see how it does. So I'm not sure when it's gonna be, but if I'm being perfectly honest, it's probably gonna be a couple of months away, because there's quite the backlog of decks at the moment. Especially as we get closer to the end of the school year. Oh man, look at that. Massacre Worm's also like $1. Man, we love it. As we get closer to the end of the school year, I tend to stockpile a lot of decks, because it gives me a way to work in advance over the summer when I have a little bit of extra time. So if you want your decks to be showcase, like if you have a suggestion for a card, I would recommend trying to get it to me like right before schools get out for the summer, because that gives me like a list of stuff to work on over the summer, and I can usually get out a little bit more and get a little bit more done in that case. But all right, coming to the end of it. I have no idea how expensive this deck is going to be. I'm guessing it'll probably be around 75 bucks, which is pretty good. I mean, most of the time when we're putting decks together, I have to trim just to get below 100, and this one, there's no pressure there. We can guarantee that we're under 100. We just don't know exactly how much. So that's always fun. Ugh. Okay. But yeah. And honestly, this took, what, 2 hours roughly, which is not quite as long as I was expecting. Apparently having help means that I can go a little bit quicker. Usually it takes me about the 2 hours to like put the deck together, and then I spend more time tweaking and editing, sharing it with the Discord to get feedback on it, things like that. So it's pretty good. I think we did a decent job with this deck, but that's about it. So as we're getting to the end of this, anyone in chat, is there anything that you want to go over for the deck, or does anyone have any questions about the deck building process at the moment that I can help answer for you before we get to the actual price? Because I think once we hit the final price, I'm probably going to wrap up the stream. So now is everyone's chance. If there's anything you got to say, anything you want to share, any questions you got. I feel like I'm back in my classroom asking for questions at the end of the day. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think the deck is fun. I think it's gonna probably, well, this is where things get tricky. I think it's either gonna play better than it looks, or it's gonna play worse than it looks, and there's no way to know which one it's gonna be until we actually test it out. So let's see, any last second predictions for budget for the deck? Anybody? Like I said, I think it's going to be about 75 bucks, but anybody think it's going to be anywhere else? Looks good. All right. Oh my goodness. There's only so many times I can click the same buttons. Oh yeah, see, here's another one like Soul Ring. There's so many copies of Soul Ring. I am not scrolling through this whole thing to find the one that's cheapest by just a couple cents. We're just going with the cheapest one I see. All right, well, last one. Here we go. Boom. All right, so the final budget then. So now that I've gone through and done all that, we can hit done, go back to the main screen here. $77.62. So once we've got the final budget for the current one, we just put it in 77? Yeah, $77.62. Done. There it is. And then that's typically the price that I'll stick with. So it might fluctuate a little bit here and there, but I tend to stick with whatever price we have when it's built, unless there are changes made to it. So if the changes are made, then I go back through and change things. So that is why sometimes if you go to look at it, it might be a couple dollars more or less than I say it is in a video. But as long as it's not going like super far above and beyond, I tend not to tweak it. But yeah. Oh, we didn't name the deck. We gotta name the deck. Any suggestions in chat for a name? I don't know what this could be named. Usually I try to come up with just like pun names or just entertaining names. What did Doodle say earlier? Get frogged, nerd? Could do that. Thoughts on get frogged, nerd? Oops. All right. We're going to put that in for now. If we change it, then we change it. But right now, We'll change it to get frogged. All right, well, I think that Bragonfish, I don't even know what that means. I'm not going to lie to you. um, but I think that we'll wrap the stream up there. If hopefully this clears up a little bit about how like the deck building process tends to work for the channel. If anyone ever has any questions about the decks that are put together for the channel, do feel free to let me know. You can send me an email. You can talk about it in like any social media accounts. You can just comment on this video. I'll do my best to respond to any of those when I can. But I appreciate everybody who hung around for the actual bargain fish. I gotcha. I appreciate everyone who hung around for the actual video itself. So I guess we can look forward to seeing this deck in the future. But thank you to everybody for watching. Hopefully we made a fun deck. And if people want to see more like this in the future, if we want to build more decks together, we can. Just let me know what you think. But other than that, thank you everybody so much for watching. And I will see you all on the other side.